the conclusion of Week 2 in the IOHL. We talk about a whole shit ton of trades that went on, and Tucker from Boston joins us. All that and more on this episode of the IOHL East Coast Radio Show.
I'm out.
Well, I was talking about me.
He wants me to be gentle. That's awesome. And horrible at the same time, Hunter.
The
Take
sun,
that, Mike.
like
We do this for the people.
Welcome to the IOHL East Coast Radio Show. As always, I am your host, Sir Mike Knight. Joining us is Miss Ovechkin and Carnivore. Welcome him back. Today, we are joined by Boston Bruins owner Tucker. Welcome to the show, Tucker.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, I'm sure you've seen the show. Most of you know, anytime that we have an owner on here, we like to get a little brief overview of their time in the IOHL. So, Tucker, floor is yours. Should be an interesting one.
I joined the IOHL in season 4, and I was traded to, I believe it was Detroit Red Wings at the time. And we had some ownership that was just not working out there with Johnny Two Blaze, who ended up just quitting out of nowhere. So I took over the GM of that team, and then I ended up going to Minnesota that season as well, taking full ownership instead of just GM. At that point, finished my season out there. I had a brief little stint in season 5. I don't think I stayed longer than a week and a half. And then I came back for the tournament. I ended up on France, where I played 2 weeks and then got sent down to the training camp. Now this season here, I took a GM spot in Boston and ended it back up as ownership again.
In season 4, Detroit Red Wings turned into Montreal Canadiens, didn't they?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, and your owner was Pat.
That's correct.
Pat, let's shout out on the East Coast Radio Show. You know, you probably don't watch it. Hi, Pat. Yeah. Yeah, I got nothing else. Anybody got anything else? No. You did do a brief stint. Here goes your camera again. God damn. You did do a brief stint in as a commissioner too, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I joined season 4 as a commissioner, and I actually stepped down to take over. What team was it?
Minnesota.
No, it was another team that blew up. The owners just quit. It was Weaver and all that.
Oh, Florida.
Oh, Florida.
Florida.
That's right.
And that's when I stepped down as commissioner, and I think I stayed about a week and a half and then retired due to personal reasons.
Right. All right. And all right. So let's cut into the show here. Unless anybody else has any more questions for Tucker. God, you guys are a lively bunch, huh? I'm the one who just woke up. Fuck.
I warned Marge.
So
I've been working on the site since 9:30 this morning, my time.
Welcome to my weekend every weekend IOHL. It's nice to have a break.
I stepped in the door from work, and Marge right away asked me to be on the show. So,
All right.
I'm saying I'm fried.
So let's look at the standings. We're at the end of week 2. All right. So let's look at the standings, and the big thing that jumps out at me is the New York Rangers, 10-0 this week.
Yeah.
10-0. After ending up in 4th place after week 1, the short week, they bump up all the way to 1st. So, Carney, let's hear a little bit about New York.
Well, New York. Everybody's most hated team. Well, they're going to do it to themselves. They got a few chirpers in the chat box. They're very proud of themselves, let's just say. You know, they do the little things right. They show up on time. They play together. You know, outside of the league. They do the little things that just beats teams. It's not like they're going out to mercying every single team. They're going out there to win the game. If they end up with a high score, good for them. But for the most part, they're just trying to do the little things to win the game, and it's working for them.
All right, some players that jump out on you there in New York.
Well, just it really stems from the top down. Their number one pick was young prodigy. He's doing well. They got a guy over there, Ahern. Aside from his unfortunate recent events, he's been one of their biggest supporters in the chat box, as well as also one of their biggest contributors on the team. So it's one thing to get mad at him for being, very proud of himself, but he is contributing. He's not the leader. I mean, you got Prodigy, 10 games played, averaging 3.4 points per game. He's the man to be over there. Forza's right behind him, 10 games, 3.2 points per game, followed up by Crosby, and then Squid, and then Ahern. Right. But as far as who they got, they knew they were going to get those guys. Those 4 guys that are already in the top, they knew they were going to get them. Ahern is really their pick, and that's the one that's doing it for them.
Right. All right. So yeah, I think their heads are big enough after that. So we'll cut into second place team now. I know the standings say that this is Montreal, but it is actually Toronto, and actually they were just, as I clicked on it, they switched. Toronto, number 2. What can be said about Toronto that isn't already said there, Marge?
Well, Toronto, I mean, like you commented with Montreal, they had a big week this week. I'm not sure exactly what their record was, but they won 6 in a row. So they got a nice winning streak heading into week 3. They made a lot of trades this week. I think they were involved in 2 priority trades. If not, they were definitely involved in 1 priority trade. They fired their GM, Crosby, replaced him, and they just have been clicking ever since. They didn't lose a step. Crosby was a big part of that team, but they were able to replace him and still put up the points. From that team, Ryan has been stepping up huge for them. 8 games played, and he's averaging 4 points per game, almost 5 points. Torts, Nuke Bomb, and then Tank. I know a lot of their problem was they were trying to find some line mates for Tank, and I think they figured it out, and I think they're going to roll with 2 solid lines from here on out, so look for them to keep putting some wins together.
Right, yeah. 4.63 for Ryan. That's pretty crazy. So the next team, it's Montreal, the Montreal Canadiens. So, Tucker, what stands out for you as far as Montreal?
They're doing good this week. The last 10 games they played, went 7-2-1. And of course, Hertz and Pulowski are leading that team in points, averaging 4.29 for Hertz and 4.17 for Pulowski. But their plus-minus definitely stands out the most. They got guys all the way up to plus 17 already this early in the season, so only look for that to continue to grow. Montreal should string together quite a bit of wins this season. You should see them in a contending position. So,
mm-hmm. And the team that surprised me a lot this week, and not for good reasons, Detroit. Detroit falls from the top spot from being undefeated to going
4-6.
4-6 this week. I heard that there's a little snafu between cousins down there. Not surprising. Leading this team is leading this team is Big Bear with 2.75 points per game. As far as total points, it's DGI. which is not surprising to me. And then you got Schaefer and Blaine Pike to round that out. Surprising that they lost 6 games. I mean, what's more surprising to me is that DGI is sitting at a -3 in plus minus, and that's just not like any of his teams. But I look for them to figure it out and bounce back. So I mean, next would be Boston. Tucker, I'm going to let you talk about Boston for a little bit.
We started off good in the season, but this week's been a little bit troubling. You know, we found we weren't doing too well with our game this week, but hopefully, you know, next week we'll pick it up. And mind you, you know, we still do have some players that are doing well. Myself, you know, I'm up there with 17 points, and then you're followed by Munchies and Pens. But only look for that team to grow. You know, there's a lot of steps they can take to bring their team back in it. So,
right. So next on the list, we're starting to get into the negative side here. Columbus Blue Jackets 6-8-2. Carney, what can you say about Columbus?
Not very many good things. Once again, start from the top down. You know, it's always about the leader, and the leader's not there right now. He's had family issues, he's had personal issues, and he's had problems just keeping his team together. He's had his multiple management retire on him, and therefore Columbus is just they're struggling. They've lost 6 in a row, which never feels good to a team. You at least want to string a couple wins in there so it keeps people interested. You don't keep thinking, oh crap, here we go again. And I don't know if they're going to be able to turn it around right away, but they're definitely going to have to make some moves and some changes over there in order to do so. I think they have the right pieces. They have the players. They had a really good draft. It's just they're not performing at all this week, anyway.
You want to give us a couple people over there to look out for?
A couple people on Columbus to keep a heads up for. Well, obviously, you know, you got your bigger names over there. Sweet Lou, I don't know if you ever heard of him. I think he was one of the sleepers that came through, but he's doing well. He's averaging 3 points per game. Don't Even Mata, another 3-point per game player. You know, 10 goals, 14 assists. He's doing fairly well. Frack Attack in their TC is averaging 3.5 points per game. So, you know, they have guys over there. They just need to move them around and to shuffle them, and I think they'll be able to make it happen.
Right. And next team we're going to talk about is Buffalo. Buffalo had a recent change in management, did they not?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, Rainbow Treasure, due to personal reasons and stress. You know, he stepped down from the league. He quit. Wellesley took over the team. I think he's going to make some management choices, but they got some wins. You know, he came right in the middle of the week and he pulled some wins out. So their record isn't very good, but they got some big wins. So they could be on the upswing.
Yeah, I got Sakic over there with a 2.38. Their number one pick, I Murder Mitten, has only played 2 games, but is averaging 2.5. And Infinite Allspark, 2.0 over there playing defense. I believe he was just recently traded, though. So next we'll talk about Philly. Marge, you want to give us Philly?
Yeah, I mean, we were really busy this week, made a lot of trades. We got a big win against Minnesota Wild. We came back from three goals and going into the third, but we let the games get away from us early on. Brosaurus Rex has been lighting it up for us. I mean, the guy is just putting up numbers. I know his points per average games aren't as high as maybe some of the other people we've mentioned, but on our team, he's just been huge. JDB and Deking My Destiny those guys are just putting up points, but we've had some trouble on defense. Our goaltending hasn't really been as strong as it should be. But I think we got our backup goalie who's going to do wonders for us. So hopefully we'll get some more wins together. But it's I don't know. We just been letting games get away from us early on and just making dumb mistakes early on in the games. So
Well, at least you got out of the bottom. Speaking of the basement, Carney, you want to give us your team, Tampa?
All right. Well, if I could tell you what the problem was over there right now, I don't think we'd be sitting at the bottom. Other than the fact that we're lacking on the goals for, riding 13th out of 18 teams on goals produced. If you look at the numbers, there's no reason for us to be at the bottom other than the fact that we can't find ways to close out a game. We always take a lead, or at least we have a lead at one point in the game, sometimes 2-3 goals, and then seem to fall apart. So I don't know what's going on as far as what the ownership and management is going to be doing about shifting players around or anything like that. I'm not involved in that aspect of what's going on with Tampa. But I can say that they are doing some things very well. They're third in power play percentage. As far as making saves, 8th out of 18. They have the numbers to be doing well. They're 8th out of 18 in goals against average. So they're playing good defense. They're playing decent offense. They just seem to be finding ways to lose games instead of win games. And I think that's the problem. As soon as Tampa figures out how to win instead of finding ways to lose, they're going to turn it around.
All right. So if I were to ask you to pick a team that's in the bottom 5 that could still make, well, obviously everybody can still make a run. It's not, out of reach yet. It's still a long season, but one team in the top 5 that you see making it to the top 4 by the end of the season.
or the bottom 5, or
From the bottom 5, yes. From the bottom 5, who do you see making it into the top 4 to clinch a playoff spot there, Marge?
I would have to say Tampa. I mean, we played them twice and we beat them twice, but those games were close. And it was like Carney said, his team was kind of with us the whole time, and I haven't seen any of his other games. But I think once they figure out how to close out those games and get those wins and win by a goal or two, then they could just start piling up those points. I think we could be in the hunt too, but, we have a lot of chemistry issues, but I'll go with Tampa. They're on the bottom, but it's pretty close in the bottom right now, so they could jump up.
All right. Carney, same question.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Right. All right.
Always Mr. Humble.
Tucker, same question.
I'm going to go with Buffalo. Sometimes, all it takes is a management change. And, this management change could just turn out to be the best for them, and who knows where it can take them.
All right.
What do you think, Mike?
Well, you don't want to know what I think.
Yeah,
I
think what's going to come up.
I could definitely see Tampa getting up there, but we've been saying that for 2 weeks now, and they're still sitting at the bottom. Carney, I'm hoping that you guys turn it around. I really am. I'm also hoping that Philly turns it around. But I think if Boston can find that right piece that we're missing, that we can, we're tied with Detroit here. I don't know. If anybody can make it to the top 5, it's going to either be Tampa or Boston. Those are my 2 choices. I'm going to reserve Columbus and Buffalo until they come through their whole change there. For all we know, they could get the right management in place, start building some chemistry, and then make a run. But as of right now, from what I'm seeing, Boston and Tampa. Next, we'll do the trade corner with March. March, bring us some good trades here.
Yeah, well, this week was busy. We had a lot of priority trades this week. The site was down, so a lot of teams were talking on WhatsApp, getting stuff done, and there was I think there was, let me see, one, two, three, four priority trades this week, which is just astounding. And a lot of them were in the East, and a lot of them were teams switching back and forth. We started off with Gretzky going to Toronto for Naslund, and then Gretzky was traded to Montreal. Or no, I mean, he was traded from Montreal to Toronto, and then he was traded from Toronto to Philly, and then we just traded Gretzky to San Jose. So that was just one player that's unfortunately just been bouncing around the league. But it's not. I loved him when he was on Philly. He did some good numbers, but not my decision. And then we had a big 10-player trade with Toronto and LA. LA sending Toronto Gorilla 29, Pure 88, Leet Ghostman, TP Blue, and Wicked 84. And Toronto was sending Ponlor, Bad News Barrett, Cooker, Nihilist, and Ya Boy. This was a big trade. A lot of these players are on different teams now because of this, but that was one of the bigger trades that happened. So yeah, and then Philly ended up getting Leet Ghostman, Armac, and Gretzky from Toronto for King Bee Killer. That was a guy that they really wanted to help on Tank's line. We needed help with defense, so that was huge for us. And then you had Buffalo. He made a lot of moves. We talked about the new owner. He made a lot of moves. He traded Perksy, Inkboy, and Infinital Allspark to Vancouver for Random Meat, Hash Monkey, BMW, and Moose. And then he just did a little TC trade, trading Domi to Chicago for Tyler C. So, I mean, a lot of players going back and forth this week, and hopefully they help out all the teams. I think that Toronto improved a lot. They gave away a lot of players, but I think these were players that weren't fitting their play style one way or another, and I think they were just trying to figure out their two lines. I think they made a lot of good trades. Buffalo made a lot of good trades, and yeah.
Let's go back to the 10-person trade. Because that's the doozy right there. I mean, five people going to LA, 5 people come from LA going to Toronto. Let's talk about who we think got the better end of that deal. Big names I see in there. Pure 88 going to Toronto.
Yeah.
And then who was it? It was Bad News Barrett going to LA.
Yeah, Bad News Barrett and Cooker. Those are two names that stood out for me. I mean, Mike, when he was on the show last week, owner of Toronto, was talking about Pure and how he has great chemistry with him. He's been playing him with a while. Everyone knows the history between Pure and Tank. They have great chemistry, so I think that was a good pickup for them.
I mean, Carney, listening to that trade, who do you think got the better end of that deal?
I think everybody needs to stop trading with Toronto. Are you kidding me? Keep giving them players that you might not know is good. And every time I look at those trades, I'm just like, what the hell are you guys thinking? Just understand, if they're asking for a player, they know that they can play well. I'd look into it a little bit more. I'm not trying to sabotage Toronto, but come on.
All right. So back to my original question: who do you think got the better end of that deal?
Toronto.
Yeah. All right, Marge.
Toronto.
I tend to disagree. Now, Pure is a great player. I'm not taking anything away from him, but Cooker and Bad News Barrett. I mean, I didn't think Toronto was ever going to get rid of Bad News Barrett. I gotta go.
You just look at the week they had, six in a row, and that was in the middle of that trade.
Look at LA. They're at the top of the West.
True.
Toronto at the top. What do you think, Tucker? Who do you think got the better end of that deal?
I had a chance to play with Cooker in France, so I know what he can do. And looking at that between Bad News Barrett and Cooker, I think they won that one.
All right.
Cooker is very, very talented.
He is. He's very talented. All right.
All right. So here we go. Welcome to another segment of Carney's Roast. Tonight I have Tucker. Been waiting for a few seasons to get on him, and finally get chance.
That sounded
So-
awfully gay. It sounded awfully gay.
Sounds like you just roasted yourself.
Welcome to another segment of Carney's Roast, where I have Tucker. And tonight, I'm going to fuck him in the ass. Is that better?
I'm gonna take you to a nice romantic dinner. And then
Is that better?
meet
Is
up
that
with
less gay?
meet up with our friends, and we're gonna get some inside jokes, and then I'm gonna fuck you in the ass. Fuck you right in the ass.
All right. Welcome,
Yeah.
Damn it. Welcome to another segment of Carney's Roast, where tonight I get to make fun of Tucker. And I'm actually kind of excited. I got some good ones written down here, ready to go. So, we'll start with the easiest of them all, number 10. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but Freddy Krueger called me earlier. He wants a sweater back. Number 9, you offered Mike a contract even after seeing him play. Number 8, your eyebrows make you look angry even when you're smiling. See? Yeah. Number 7, you are obviously the stunt double for the puck-to-face scene in Goon. Go ahead and give us a pretty smile there, bud.
Wider.
All right. Number 6, you run the 15th out of 18 teams for goals forced, but somehow still managed to get 8 wins. And because that is witchcraft, I don't understand it. That's on my list. Number 5, you look older than Mike. Everybody knows Mike's older than dirt, but somehow you managed to pull that off. Number 4, you used to be IOHL staff, so therefore you must obviously be corrupt. Number 3, you make Craig Zor jealous with your gift of gab. If you guys have never ever played with Craig Zor or Tucker in a party, just understand this. You will never be able to say anything. Number 2. Sorry. Number 2, your forehead. Your forehead could have its own radio show window. I'm just going to move that right over here. Number 1 reason you should not be on this radio show, and it's a doozy. Tucker, everybody, works at a DVD rental store. That's right. They still exist. It's either that or he actually sits inside a red box and hands you the discs. I'm not sure. But that's all I have for Carney's Roast tonight. Now, if you guys have any feedback, go ahead and send me some. I'm always open to be roasted. I'm sitting here making fun of everybody in the league. You guys have something for me, by all means, send it in. We'll read it off.
All right. Oh, that was a pretty good roast. Tucker, you make for an easy target.
Sorry, Tucker.
Just his forehead
Yeah.
alone makes for an easy target.
Thanks for being a good sport.
As Mike would say, you got to take one for the team.
I know exactly what you mean. Ah, you're gay.
So I'm going to end this show the way I end every show, and that is asking you which team is going to make a playoff run. Tucker, I'm going to start with you since you're the guest. Can't pick Boston. Who's going to make a playoff run?
I definitely see New York Rangers making a playoff run.
All right. New York, Marge.
I'm going to make it a little more interesting. I'm going to pick the top 4 teams that I think are going to be in the playoffs. It's going to be Detroit, New York, Toronto, and Boston.
Giving Boston some love. Thank you. Carney.
I'm going to make it even more interesting, and I'm going to pick the top 9 teams that are going to possibly be in the playoffs. So I've got Detroit, Montreal, Toronto, Tampa, Boston, Columbus, Buffalo, Philly, and who did I miss?
Nobody important.
I think I missed. That's right. Rounding it out in the bottom of the barrel, Toronto. I don't think they're going to do anything after this week.
What about New York?
Shoot me if I'm wrong. What's that?
You didn't even mention New York.
Oh, they're in the East Coast? I couldn't tell. They're not in the chat box all the time. I wouldn't be able to know if they were.
All right, come on. Let's try that again. Can we please just pick one fucking team? Can we do that?
One team? That's not fun.
Well,
One team to be in the top 4, Mike. I pick New York Rangers.
You're annoying. You're fucking annoying. I hate you. Can we take this seriously and end this fucking show, please?
All right, fine.
Tucker, give me one team that's gonna make a playoff run.
New York Rangers, I see making a playoff run.
All right, Marge, give me one team that's gonna make a playoff run.
Detroit's gonna make a playoff run.
All right, Carney, one team that's gonna make a playoff run. Gun to your head, can't pick Tampa.
I don't know. Nobody's going to make the playoffs. Detroit.
All right, and I picked Detroit last week. I'm going to stick with Detroit this week. Detroit getting some love, even though they had a bad week. I think they'll bounce back. Well, that's all the time we have in this episode of the IOHL East Coast Radio Show. Hit us up on WhatsApp. Give us your videos so we can continue to have a top 5, maybe even put in the top 10. If we get enough videos, Marge will do it. Send us your funny clips too. We always like those. Get some shit talking in. Send it to us on WhatsApp, on the site, what have you. As always, stay classy.
Jump.
0 assists.
I have 3.
I don't want to go doing that. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking boring. It makes for boring fucking show. He's getting ready for Carney's roast. Anyway, so
You offered Mike a contract even after seeing him play.
no, everybody's just looking at their phones except for Tucker and myself.
Hey, man.
I'm just waiting for the word.
Just going away like a fucking 15-year-old girl.
Oh, there it is. I was like, I lost my sleeping pill. What the hell is going on?
His dog is afraid of him. He's chasing his dog around the living room, dude.
Ah!
I think I just sharked myself, dude.
Yeah,
Alright, I'm ready.
Hold on, I gotta check my pants. I don't like the way that went. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Then shh.
So are you guys going to do the last radio show where all the owners
There we
get
go.
to roast Carney?
Is your dog having sex with a squeaky toy, or what?
But we all know what time it is.
Pick your nose. Pick your nose. Pick it. Then we.
Hold on.